International. You will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has congratulated Iman Khalif on winning the 2024 Paris Olympic Games gold medal in women's boxing. And at least 93 Palestinians have been killed and scores of others wounded in new airstrikes carried out against a school sheltering refugees in Gaza city center. And in Brazil, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has declared a 3-day national mourning following a plane crashed in the Sao Paulo region in southeast Brazil, killing all 61 people on board. Those were the major developments. Now the full news edition. Good afternoon. The Algerian boxer Iman Khalif won the gold medal at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, beating China's Yang Lia in the final. And the details with Mary Barshi.
It was the first gold medal in the history of Algerians women's boxing at the Olympics. The boxer confirmed her clear domination since the start of the Olympic tournament by brilliantly winning the gold medal against the reigning world champion 2023. Iman Khalif gave Algeria its second gold medal of the Games following that of gymnast Kylian Imour, who won on the uneven bars last Sunday. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, congratulated the Algerian boxer, stressing that the country is proud of her and that her victory is Algeria's victory and her gold medal is Algeria's, thanking her. Iman Khalif, for her part, said after receiving her gold medal at the Olympic Games that President Tebboune was her first supporter, adding that she had honored the promise she made to win gold medal and the President had called her just after the final to congratulate her. The Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, ANP Army General Saïd Changreha, also congratulated the Algerian Olympic champion on her gold medal, as well as the Speaker of the Council of the Nation, Saleh Goujil, who stressed that Khalif had answered the skepticals with courage and engraved her name in the world sporting memory as the noblest example of patience, strength, confidence and stability. Meanwhile, the middle distance runner Jamel Sejati will have the opportunity to add to Algeria's tally as he will be competing in the 800-meter final scheduled for 6:05 p.m. today.
The Director General of Customs, Major General Abdelhafid Bakhouch, has taken part in the 8th meeting of the Directors General of Customs of the African Continental Free Trade Area in Accra, Ghana. The meeting was an opportunity to discuss several points relating to the activities of customs in this area. On this occasion, various reports of the Committee of the African Continental Free Trade Area were examined, notably the one of the 8th meeting of the Subcommittee on Customs, Cooperation, Trade Facilitation and Transit, which preceded the meeting of the Directors General. Let's recall that Algeria ratified the agreement on the creation of the African Continental Free Trade Area in March 21st, 2018 in Kigali, Rwanda. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, and to the Middle East now. At least 93 Palestinians have been killed and scores of others wounded in new airstrikes carried out against a school sheltering refugees in Gaza city center. About 250 displaced, including a majority of children and women, had sought refuge in the school that was virtually damaged by the attack, considered the most violent since the Israeli occupation launched its all-out operations on Gaza. The Israeli attack triggered off reactions worldwide, notably by the EU diplomacy chief Josep Borrell, who said he was horrified by the Israeli attack, saying that nothing justifies such massacres. In a similar move, Turkey denounced the attack as yet another new crime perpetrated against humanity and targeted civilian refugees. The Islamic Cooperation Organization condemned as unacceptable the Israeli new crime, which it rejected as a new extension of the brutal massacres perpetrated by the occupation. This came as Qatar called for an international inquiry to be set up urgently to look into the Israeli continued attacks of aggression in the Gaza Strip. And to Yemen now, the United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has called for urgent assistance to be provided to areas affected by flooding in the western governorates of Hodeidah and Hajjah over the last 3 days. To Sudan now, the UN has said that heavy seasonal rains kick in across Sudan, where refugees and internally displaced people continue to bear the brunt of an incredibly dire humanitarian situation after more than a year of deadly war that has now led to the tragedy of famine conditions. Miriam Barshi.
The UN Refugee Agency, or UNHCR, said heavy rains and flooding have already impacted tens of thousands of people across Sudan, causing further displacement, injuries and deaths. Over 11,000 people, including refugees hosted in the country and local communities in the eastern Kassala state, have been impacted by severe floods and heavy rains in the past 2 weeks. This includes many families who recently arrived after fleeing violence in Sennar state and who were sheltering in 5 gathering sites and reception centers. Some have been displaced 3 or 4 times since the start of the conflict. They have lost their belongings, including food rations, and are facing significant challenges in accessing clean water and sanitation facilities, increasing the risk of waterborne diseases. More than 400 shelters have also been damaged in the Shagara refugee camp, leaving already vulnerable people destitute. UNHCR said it is making efforts to assist the most vulnerable on the ground together with state authorities, as a new land has been identified where tents are being set up to accommodate the affected families. The new site is expected to host some 800 families newly displaced due to the flooding. UNHCR has already started erecting emergency shelters, with some 400 tents installed so far. Despite the ongoing rain, at least 200 families have been relocated. In addition, UNHCR is planning to distribute plastic sheeting to refugees to repair roofs damaged by the storms. More rainfall is expected in the eastern and western parts of the country.
The armies of Moscow and Kiev are engaged in fighting for the 5th consecutive day in Russia and the border region of Kursk, where the Ukrainian incursion is putting a local nuclear power plant at risk. The Russian State Atomic Energy Corporation said the actions of the Ukrainian army constitute a direct threat to the Kursk nuclear power plant, adding that at this moment there is a real danger of strikes and provocations by the Ukrainian army. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency had already called in a statement for maximum restraint to avoid a nuclear accident. The International Atomic Energy Agency was informed that fragments and remains, probably pieces of intercepted rocket, were found on Thursday at the plant site. To Bangladesh now, the head of Bangladesh interim government, Muhammad Yunus, has called for unity following the resignation of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina under pressure from the streets. Majid Mira has the details.
The economist and Nobel Peace Prize winner told journalists that his government's responsibility is to build a new Bangladesh and not differentiate on the basis of religion, he insisted. During a visit to the town of Rangpur in the north of the country, he paid tribute to Abu Saeed, the first student to be killed during the violence that marked the protests against job quotas in the civil service. The new interim government has promised to take up the difficult challenge of returning the country to democracy after a student uprising and mass demonstrations. At least 432 people have been killed during the protests, including 122 on Monday, the deadliest day according to a count based on police, government and medical sources. A day after his return from Europe and after promising to uphold, support and protect the constitution when he took office, Mr. Yunus, 84, paid tribute to the heroes of Bangladesh's independence, his first act as head of the interim government. The economist, who has taken now the title of chief advisor in the interim government made up of civilians with the exception of a retired brigadier general, said he wanted to organize elections with a few months.
In Brazil, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has declared a 3-day national mourning following a plane crashed in the Sao Paulo region in southeast Brazil, killing all 61 people on board. The reasons for its spectacular nosedive into a residential area are not yet known. The plane, made by the Franco-Italian manufacturer ATR, was carrying 51 passengers and 4 crew members. In the U.S., 51% of U.S. adults said they think Harris will win the elections, while another 48% of Americans said they think Trump has the best shot of getting elected. Confidence in Trump's ability to recapture the presidency has been shaken since a month ago, when 59% of voters overall thought he would win. Our California-based political analyst Hamoud Salhi commented on the U.S. election speculation.
It's really very hard because remember, he lost by 7 million popular vote. This doesn't mean that Donald Trump is not a legitimate candidate, despite his trouble, despite his problem. This is an election, and it's hard to say it, but it appears to me it's an election for the Democrats to lose. In other words, the supporters of Trump have not changed, still that same core of people. The Democrats have challenges or issues that they could rally the mass, the young, the women, and so on and so forth. So there is a possibility for them to do well in this election. The challenge for them, for the Democrat, is to get the young people to go and vote. And if we have a large turnout, as we have seen in 2020, the Democrats have a chance. But if it is a low turnout, then Donald Trump has. Much of what we've seen these days is a reaction of the Democrat having Harris, who brings energy, all of that. This will continue for the next week or so, particularly in 10 days when we have the Democrat convention. So they have some few days after that to be sort of energetic, appearing to be gaining ground on Trump.
That was the statement of our California-based political analyst Hamoud Salhi on the U.S. elections. And you're still listening to Radio Algeria International. I invite you now to listen to a cultural program. Stay tuned to the rest of our programs broadcast on Radio Algeria International.